Hi, this is Ramachandran from onlinemathforall.com. In our website onlinemathforall.com, students can find video tutorials which will be much useful for the students to learn some difficult math concepts easily, and also to prepare for competitive exams like GMAT, GRE and more. Okay, this video is about derivative of absolute function. In this video tutorial we are going to see how to find derivative of a function involving absolute value. Okay, I'll show you here how to find derivative of a function in which we have absolute value. So for that, let us consider a function involving absolute value. Say f of x is equal to absolute value of u. So here we have a function f of x involving absolute value, that is absolute value of u. So when we differentiate this function f of x, it will be f dash of x. So because whenever we differentiate f of x, the result is f dash of x. On the right side we have absolute value. So whenever we find derivative of an absolute value, so the first thing what we have to do is we just have to take the term inside the absolute value. Here the term inside the absolute value is u. So we have to take the term first without absolute sign, so it will be u. It has to be divided by that absolute value, so it will be absolute value of u. So this is a step, first step we have to do. So whenever we find derivative of an absolute value, so first we have to take the term inside the absolute value, so without absolute value. I mean here in our problem, so inside the absolute value we have the term u. I just took the term u and it has to be divided by this absolute value, that is absolute value of u. The next thing, it has to be multiplied the derivative of the term inside the absolute value. Here inside the absolute value we have the term u, so we have to multiply by derivative of that particular term, that is u dash. So this is the thing we have to do when we find derivative of an absolute value. I hope the students can understand how to find a derivative of an absolute value function. So that is the first thing what we have to do is, first we have to write the term that we have inside the absolute value, and it has to be divided by the absolute value, that is absolute value of u, and this fraction has to be multiplied by the derivative of the term inside the absolute value, that is u dash. I hope the students can understand this concept. Now I'll show you an example. Okay, I'll do the example on the next page. Okay, now I'm going to consider an example. F of x is equal to absolute value of x to the power 3 positive 4x. So this is the function I consider. In this function we have absolute value. So now I'm going to find differentiate. I mean I'm going to find derivative to differentiate with respect to x. So I'm going to find derivative of f of x with respect to x, because this is a function of x. So when I differentiate f of x, it will be f dash of x. As I told you already, when we find derivative of an absolute value, so the first thing what we have to do is, first we have to write the term inside the absolute value. Here inside the absolute value we have x to the power 3 positive 4x. So we write x to the power 3 positive 4x, and it has to be divided by the given absolute value, that is absolute value of x to the power 3 positive 4x. Then this fraction has to be multiplied by the derivative of the term inside the absolute value. So the derivative of the term inside the absolute value is 3 times x square positive 4, because the derivative of this term, when we find derivative of x cube, it will be 3x square, and when we find derivative of 4x, it will be 4 times 1, because the derivative of x is 1 and we have to keep the constant 4 as it is. So finally f dash of x is equal to x cube positive 4x times 3x square positive 4 over absolute value of x cube positive 4x. Students, it's very simple to find derivative of an absolute function. So I've already told you, again I tell you the steps to be completed to find derivative of an absolute function. So the first thing what we have to do is we just have to take the term inside the absolute value, and it has to be divided by the given absolute value. Then this fraction has to be multiplied by the derivative of the term inside the absolute value. So in our problem, the term inside the absolute value is x to the power 3 positive 4x. So that I have written here. 1 second, I'll show you. So the term inside the absolute value I have written here, and this one has to be divided by the given absolute value, that is x, absolute value of x to the power 3 positive 4x, and this fraction has to be multiplied by derivative of the term inside the absolute value, that is x to the power 3 positive 4x. It has to be differentiated. When we differentiated this, we get 3x to the power 2 positive 4x. So this is the result of derivative of the absolute function x to the power 3 positive 4x. Okay students, for more videos like this, please visit www.onlinemathforall.com. Thank you.